I'm Jay Bowman, Managing Director of Research and Analytics at FMI.
And I'm Rick Tyson, Senior Consultant and Strategy Practice Leader with FMI. So in the strategy work that we do with our clients, we notice a tendency to ignore or not really consider other competitive firms that are behaving in a way that's very different from the way that client operates. And so there's a bias toward best practices and not reflecting on why some of these firms may actually be meaningful to consider in our strategy. And so the article really explores and gets into the fact that not every company is playing the same game or playing that game in the same way.
But generally speaking, we see three kind of broad areas where those sources of competitive advantage lie. Either it's in the efficiency, which is really price and schedule driven. It might be related to some type of customer advocacy, having that close relationship, or it could even be a particular type of sector expertise where there's some knowledge or some factor that's necessary in order to compete in that market. But even those three areas might be generic. The way one firm may approach efficiency could be very different than the way another firm may approach efficiency.
A good example of firms playing the same game differently that people can relate to in their own lives would be looking at Southwest as an airline versus the other kind of larger carriers and the way that their organizations are constructed differently. I think another example would be looking at Walmart versus other big box retailers such as Target, or even in today's world, looking at Walmart versus Amazon as primary competitors.
So it really comes down to three things. The first one being, start with the end in mind. What are the aspirations of the organization? What are we trying to accomplish? And a lot of times that's easier said than done because we get so busy in the day-to-day operations of the business. The second one is there is no algorithm for strategy, meaning that there are some best practices that we can just merely apply to our business and therefore achieve our aspirations or execute on our strategy. Because as we talked about, playing the game differently, some best practices may be the wrong practices for your business given the way in which you decide to win. And then last, it's really this balance between art and science. The science being the rigorous analytics, the research, the competitive intelligence, all the things that we can bring to our thinking. But then the art piece, which is actually more difficult and sometimes more challenging, is really how do we think creatively about that information? How do we interpret it maybe differently than what it may look like just on the surface?